5:30 on Eyewitness News.
And possibly for the next few days, it's being converted into an emergency shelter. I'm Len Besthoff in Hartford. I'll tell you why.
This time last week, homeless people would be sleeping on this grass in tents. But lucky for them, this week they don't have to do that. I'm Pei-Sze Cheng, and I'll bring you that story.
Plus,
voters in eastern Connecticut could hold the nation's future in their hands as the race for the 2nd Congressional District heats up.
also,
There's a new push to keep children from lighting up at one Shoreline High School.
Eyewitness News is everywhere. This is Eyewitness News at 5:30.
Good evening. Right now, more than 50 people in Hartford's Asylum Hill neighborhood are homeless after being burned out of their homes.
Fire ripped through a 3-story apartment building on South Marshall Street yesterday. A makeshift shelter has been set up for the victims in Hartford's Pope Park. That's where Eyewitness News reporter Len Besthoff is right now with a live report. Len.
Well, Dennis, they're setting up this shelter here at the Pope Park Recreation Center because it's a more central location for all the services these people need. Plus, they're expecting a lot more people may be looking for a home tonight. Fire investigators have some answers about Sunday's fire at a South Marshall Street apartment building. They determined the cause, an electrical wiring problem on the 3rd floor. They don't have the answer Ada Rodriguez is waiting for, though, when she can return to her apartment. She and her kids got forced out of their home.
I just put everything in my apartment brand new. I just fixed that apartment up. Now my kids don't got a place to stay. I can't go to work tomorrow, which I need to work. And it's like this, my kids are destroyed. And I'm nervous wreck.
And now even more people will have to find another place to stay. Building inspectors have determined that water damage throughout the apartment complex means they now have to close off an even greater portion of the units. So the Red Cross expects even more people may find themselves homeless when they return from work. That's why the city of Hartford has agreed to open an emergency shelter at the Pope Park Recreation Center. Carlos Velez says he and his wife will stay the night.
I'm happy here. The Red Cross is helping me.
Place
it's good
to bring all the services
the
that
Red
these
Cross
people may
is good
need.
because
And there have been
everybody,
more people staying here tonight.
I'm happy. The Red Cross,
You think? And now, as far as the exact number of people that will be staying the night here, that still remains a question. Last night, you had about 55 people who had to leave their apartment. About half of them found alternate arrangements with friends and family. The rest were put up by the Red Cross. So you're talking several dozen people last night, but that was before they've closed off this whole other part of the apartment building where all these people were staying. And so we'll have to wait and see how many people actually end up here tonight. Live in Hartford, Len Besthoff, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
This is a developing news story from Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
And Eyewitness News continues to follow a developing story involving 3 missing children. Take a good look at this man we're about to show you. Connecticut police have issued a nationwide all-points bulletin for him, and there's the picture. He's a Florida resident named Balil Hamadeh. Police believe he took his 3 children after they got off the bus outside the Spalding Elementary School in Suffield this morning. The children are aged 7, 8, and 9. At this hour, police are handing out pictures at Bradley International Airport because they believe that Hamadeh may try to bring the children back to Florida, where he lives. We'll have a live report on the search coming up on Eyewitness News at 6.
Well, it's getting cold out there, and that means homeless people are going to be needing a place to sleep. And there appears to be a shortage of homeless shelters in the city of New Haven. And now Mayor John DeStefano wants other towns to take a role in clothing and feeding the homeless. Let's go now live to New Haven, where Channel 3's Pei-Sze Cheng is with this report. Pei-Sze.
Well, it is very cold and rainy here in New Haven. If you look at the green behind me, last week, many of Connecticut's homeless were sleeping on this grass. But today, New Haven's mayor announced some of the city's solutions as well as the state's problems. These patches of dead grass and dirt are the only sign that up until Saturday, the New Haven Green looked more like a public campground. In September, we brought you the story of Tent City, a makeshift housing area for Connecticut's homeless, erected by homeless advocates to demonstrate the unfairness of New Haven's current length of stay policy. People are told they are welcome to stay in the shelter, but that they can only stay for 90 days.
The mayor's going to longer because really, I mean, you can't even find a place within 6 months sometimes. It's hard.
Yeah.
Imagine 90 days. Where are you going to find a place for 90 days?
On Friday, New Haven opened up a shelter on Cedar Street, giving the city 435 beds, and Tent City closed down. However, in a press conference this morning, New Haven Mayor John DeStefano was quick to point out that when it comes to homeless facilities, New Haven is carrying more than their share of the burden.
Bethany has 0. Brantford has 0. East Haven has 0. Guilford has 0. Camden has 0.
In fact, in the area, only Meriden, Wallingford, and Milford have homeless facilities, and combined those cities only have 80 beds. But the mayor says that to house people for an indeterminate amount of time does them more harm than good.
This is not principally a housing issue. It's an issue of substance abuse, mental illness, folks just being discharged from corrections, and trying to get them on a pathway where they can be more productive.
One thing New Haven residents agree on, this is a complex issue.
Unless they build more shelters, I don't see how they can do it any other way. I mean, they can, I suppose, sign up again, you know, but in the meantime, like I said, if you have children, what do you do with the children?
And the shelter should be opened until April 15th, but after that date, they'll have trouble continuing to be open without support from the state as well as the surrounding communities. Live in New Haven, I'm Pei-Sze Cheng for Channel 3 Eyewitness Weather.
Never boring Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura has shaken up the U.S. Senate this time by choosing an independent to replace Paul Wellstone. Dean Barkley will be the interim senator, an independent who ran for Senate twice and lost. The pick means the Senate is now evenly split, 49 Republicans, 49 Democrats, and 2 independents. Voters tomorrow will pick their own senator with a choice between late entry Democrat Walter Mondale and Republican Norm Coleman.
He's not on the ballot, but President George Bush is ending a day on the campaign trail. He started the day in Iowa, was in Arkansas this afternoon, and his final stop is in Texas. Singing happy birthday to someone there. At his stop in Iowa, he urged all citizens to exercise one of the most important rights they have.
Part of the American spirit is the participation by our citizens. But when you get in that voting booth here in Iowa, I got some suggestions for you.
Now the Bushes will be at their Crawford, Texas ranch tomorrow. They'll celebrate their 25th wedding anniversary, and they'll be watching those election results. And it's shaping up to be a very close race in Connecticut's 2nd congressional district. That district includes nearly all of the eastern half of the state. Right now, polls show incumbent Rob Simmons with less than a 10-point lead over challenger Joe Courtney, actually down to 5 points. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter John Moroney is joining us now live with more. John?
Well, Denise, we are at the Connecticut Expo waiting for the president to arrive, who has arrived. He came here only moments ago. He is currently being introduced by Joe Courtney. He's one of the Democrats on the ticket that they're looking to boost through this rally, through the president's visit. And of course, Joe Courtney is looking to unseat Republican incumbent Rob Simmons.
Thank you very much. We're working hard.
Joe Courtney making a last-minute plea to voters in Groton, with polls indicating he's turned the campaign against Rob Simmons into a horse race.
Flushing out the choice between my agenda and my opponent's agenda has really, I think, brought this gap to almost zero.
The latest Yukon poll indicates Courtney has cut Simmons' lead by 5 points after trailing in the race by as many as 22. Campaigning in Vernon, Simmons downplayed these latest numbers, saying they were not totally unexpected.
In this district, it's tight. Republicans are the minority. We got to work harder, and we do work harder. So I'm not surprised at a tightening race.
Because there are important issues, whether it's strengthening Social Security.
At the Wyndham Falls retirement community in Groton, where Senator Christopher Dodd was campaigning with Joe Courtney, they've been watching the race very closely, and their opinions are what you might expect throughout the rest of the 2nd congressional district.
Mr. Simmons.
How come?
Because I voted for him last time. I'm going to vote for him again this time.
I'm solidly behind Joe Courtney. I think he'll make an excellent congressman. He was a good legislator.
At one time a low-key affair, the campaign has become increasingly negative.
The previous poll was taken before about $1 million of negative advertising was brought in, so that's going to tighten up the race too.
None of that stuff has been aimed at Rob Simmons. For him to claim that somehow he's the victim of negative campaigning is ridiculous.
Now we are back live at the Connecticut Expo. You can see the former president. He's standing with Senator Dodd, Joe Courtney, and Joe Lieberman. Joe Courtney just introduced Senator George Jepsen, the lieutenant governor on the Democratic ticket. Now this race in the 2nd Congressional District at one point in time had been overshadowed by the bigger race, the so-called bigger race in the 5th Congressional District between Jim Moroney and Nancy Johnson. But it now appears as though the 2nd Congressional District race may be the one to watch. We're live in Hartford. John Moroney, Channel 3, Eyewitness News.
Wildfire season began early this summer in Oregon, and it continues to worry firefighters there, even with winter well on its way. Channel 3's Al Terzi is here now with that story. Al.
Well, Dennis, normally the wildfire season in Oregon is over by the middle of October, but a continuing dry spell out there has created conditions right now, much like they were back on the hottest days of August.
The grasses are very dry, and usually they're wet by now.
Dry grass means fuel for fire, and this dry weather isn't typical for November.
Normally by November we're into wet weather, and there are a lot of clouds, which keeps it warmer at night, keeps it cool during the day. The air mass is just very dry.
Ryan Sandler works at the National Weather Service office in Medford. He says the dry weather Oregon is having right now could be a record breaker.
This is the 2nd latest fire season right now. We just entered the number 2. The latest was November 12th since 1967. So this is a very late ending to fire season.
And that's bad news for firefighters. Small fires broke out across the valley on Friday. Firefighters say the fire season is by no means over.
Yeah, a lot of people think because we're having colder weather in fall that the fire season's over. But the fuel moistures really are quite similar to that in the middle of summer. Things are really dry, and then with the high winds we're getting in the fall, in some respects it's actually more dangerous this time of year.
Hollingsworth says people call in every day asking if it's safe to build fires. He says it still pays to be cautious.
Have open flames. They need to not drive off road with their vehicle because that can start a fire in the brush. They just need to act the same way they act when we had extreme fire danger ratings.
If we get enough showers in the area, it may put an end to fire season.
Now it's sunny and dry out there once again today in the low 60s, but forecasters do see a break in the weather by midweek, more November-like, and perhaps several days of welcome rain. I'm Al Terzi, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Coming up on Eyewitness News.
Police right now are still searching for suspects in this morning's shooting in New Haven. A live report coming up at 6.
And we have exclusive video from inside the theater where hundreds were taken hostage in Russia last week. We'll have more on this coming up on Eyewitness News at 5:30.
And we're not having any problems with dry weather around here. We had some light rain today, about 1/10 of an inch, and there's more rain on the way for midweek. My 7-day futurecast is coming up.
You're watching Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 5:30. Eyewitness News is everywhere. Tonight at 11 on Eyewitness News. She went to summer camp over 50 years ago and never returned home. Police haven't given up on the case and are determined to find Connie Smith's killer.
Why give up? If we quit, we gave up, and I'll never give up.
Hear from a new witness who's come forward and what could be the missing link to solving the case.
If I crawl, is somebody going to think I'm a nut?
Tonight at 11 on Eyewitness News. Eyewitness News is everywhere.
We're looking live at 84 through downtown Hartford. Looks like the hot spot here, but actually Route 2 is holding a couple of problems. I'll tell you about those accidents and about this delay coming up.
Sharon Stone plus Dr. Phil and his wife on our set. Next, BT.
You're watching Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 5:30. Eyewitness News is everywhere.
Along the shoreline today, a more intense no smoking policy is now in effect.
And it kicked off today at Milford High School in the hopes of helping youngsters kick the habit. Bathrooms and hallways at Foran High School in Milford will be monitored more closely by staff members to make sure the students don't line up. No lavatory passes will be issued during class unless there's a bathroom emergency. Otherwise, teens will only be able to go to the bathroom in between classes or during lunch or study hall. The crackdown comes after people complained to the district's new superintendent. Eyewitness News caught up with parents who think this tougher policy, for the most part, is a good one.
If you teach your child not to smoke and smoking is bad and they see the next guy who's 12, 14, 15 smoking, it's hard to instill those values in your own child.
I think there's 10 or 12 lavatories in the school, and to only be able to use 2, I think,
is unfair to the 99% of the students in that school who don't smoke.
But that parent went on to say that he does support the policy because at least it is a step in the right direction. The company that produced the tainted deli meats in that giant recall last month is now being sued. Last month, the Pilgrim's Pride Company issued the biggest meat recall in U.S. history after federal investigators traced a Listeria outbreak to one of its factories. The outbreak killed 7 people and made 50 others sick. Tonight, there's word a 98-year-old man will be the lead plaintiff in a class action lawsuit against Pilgrim's Pride. He spent 2 months in the hospital after eating contaminated turkey.
Route 2 has been looking at a pretty heavy ride. Now we have an accident on the eastbound side, outbags at 5A as we head out of East Hartford. State Police just en route to that crash. And also the on-ramp from 5A. This is on the westbound side. It's shut down momentarily as crews try to remove a car that was actually onto the guardrail. So State Police are removing this accident, and that closure is in place for a short while. Let's take a look at 84 westbound where traffic is stacked up straight out of the downtown tunnel. This delay moving towards us will extend out towards the Park Road curve in West Hartford. Eastbound side stacked up prior to 46, all the way over the Bulkley Bridge, even some delays heading up by the 384 split into Manchester. Let's move to New Haven where an accident was cleared off the Q northbound side. So the delay on 95 northbound is easing out along with the southbound side of 91. You'll notice just left lane volume as we head into the merge with 95. Heading through Brantford along 95, things look great as we head by exit 53. Not a problem in sight in either direction. I'm Rachel Lutzker with the Connecticut Lottery Timesaver traffic report. Tomorrow's Classic Lotto jackpot is $7.2 million.
About 70,000 bikers rallied in Philadelphia yesterday with toys in hand. This was not a Santa Claus audition. The bikers descended from all over for the 22nd annual Toy Run for the Children. Thousands of them brought the toys to give to sick children in area social services agencies. Many of those toys will be given out during the holidays. The numbers are not in yet for this latest drive, but last year, the event collected more than 100,000 toys.
Next, it's the jury's decision. That's after closing arguments were heard today in the shoplifting trial of actress Winona Ryder. She never took the stand in the trial. A last-minute witness was rejected by the judge, and he did not accept into evidence an alleged written admission by Ryder. She is charged with stealing more than $5,500 in merchandise from the Beverly Hills Saks Fifth Avenue store.
Well, Halloween is barely over and the ho-ho holidays are in full swing at the movie theater. The holiday season is upon us in a big way at the movies. Tim Allen and the Santa Claus 2 movie landed nicely on the roof in first place. It's stocking stuffed with $29 million. The Ring holds on to second place with $18.5 million. I Spy debuted in third, raking in $14 million. Jackass the movie fell from first to fourth, but still brought in $13.1 million. And Ghost Ship is number 5 with $6.6 million.
Coming up on Eyewitness News.
Right now, police at Bradley International Airport are distributing a picture of this father of 3. We'll have the latest on how that's going tonight in a live report at 6.
But first, your winning lottery numbers.
Hi everybody, rain in eastern Connecticut will be ending by around 7 or 7:30, but there's more rain coming for midweek. My 7-day futurecast is next.
The X-Rated Insider and the CEO, next Inside Edition.
Accurate, dependable. Now Eyewitness Weather with your live Doppler 3000 Futurecast. Here's Chief Meteorologist Bruce DePrest.
Hi and good evening everybody. We had some light rain this afternoon that dropped about 1/10 of an inch of rain in parts of the state. Right now it's pretty much confined to eastern Connecticut. It's gone in Hartford and New Haven. Norwich, your rain will end around 7 p.m. And in Plainfield and also Killingly, your rain should also end around 7 p.m. as well. It's now over for all of western Connecticut. All right, let's check out our wet streets in Hartford now. But the rain is over. Here are some rather wet, kind of a wet look at downtown Hartford's roadways. And here are your current conditions. 43 in Hartford, 41 in Waterbury, Willimantic is 42. And looking at live New Haven scenes, it had been rainy in New Haven, but the rain is gone now. And in New Haven, the temperature is in the 40s. It's actually about 47 degrees in New London and in the mid-40s in New Haven as well. 45 there, while Meriden is coming in with 43. Okay, let's go right ahead to a Futurecast. And you can see that the rain is going to get out of here pretty quickly early this evening. Again, after around 7 or 7:30, it should be all gone. We'll have clearing skies by morning. There could be some patchy fog and maybe a few icy spots out there late tonight and tomorrow morning, but I don't expect that to become a widespread problem. Now tomorrow, morning sun will give way to some high clouds in the afternoon, and then after midnight tomorrow night, we'll start to see some rain move in that could mix briefly with wet snow, but no accumulation. And then it looks like a rainy Wednesday with potentially stormy conditions in terms of about an inch of rain, and also possible coastal flooding with astronomically high tides combining with easterly winds. And high tide in New London on Wednesday is at 9:51 in the morning. Overnight lows with clearing skies in the upper 20s and low 30s, about 33 in Hartford, 30 in Meriden. And for tomorrow, looks like a pretty nice day. Morning sun mixing with some high clouds in the afternoon, generally in the mid to upper 40s, but near 50 in southern portions of Connecticut. Here's the 7-day futurecast, and Wednesday looks wet and chilly, a high of 43. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday look like 3 nice days. Clouding up on Sunday, and then a chance for more rain on Monday. Eyewitness News at 5:30. We'll be back after this break.
Coming up next on Eyewitness News, the U.S. wants cooperation from Saddam Hussein in the name of national security. We'll have the latest when Denise and I return.
Voters head to the polls tomorrow morning on Eyewitness News.
New off the satellites tonight, Iraqi President Saddam Hussein is saying he will not reject a UN resolution by the U.S., but he wants to read the fine print first. He last said he would only approve previous resolutions. That is, the proposed resolution would strengthen weapons inspections, and it declares that Iraq is in breach of destroying its weapons of mass destruction. It also set deadlines to comply with inspections and declare its chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons.
2 Israeli civilians were killed today in continuing Middle East violence. Dozens of others were injured in that suicide bombing. It happened at a crowded mall. The radical group Islamic Jihad has claimed responsibility. And in the West Bank, 2 men were killed when a bomb detonated in the car they were driving. One man was a wanted militant. Authorities say that car was booby-trapped.
We have new video just in from Russia. These are scenes from inside the Moscow theater as it was being taken over last month by Chechen gunmen. You remember the people in there were watching a performance, and then, look carefully, a masked gunman walked onto the stage while the actors were performing. The gunman held hundreds of hostages there for over 2 days. Russian special forces finally stormed the theater after pumping in a certain type of gas. All the gunmen died, along with some of the hostages.
New at 6 on Eyewitness News.
The state police are handing out flyers like this one at Bradley International Airport, looking for a man who took his 3 children from a Suffield Elementary School. I'm Tasha Jamerson. A live report is coming up.
The latest from New Haven, where 2 people were shot this morning at a busy downtown intersection.
Plus,
we're live in Hartford, where Democratic gubernatorial candidate Bill Curry has brought in Bill Clinton as a last-ditch effort to boost his voter support.